Mr. Speaker, to ask the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government what assessment is made of the United States government's national security concerns regarding the proposed Chinese embassy development at the Royal Mint Court.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is committed to the probity of the planning process at all levels to ensure robust and evidence-based decision-making, including the role of planning ministers in deciding called-in planning applications and recovered appeals. For this reason, I hope the House will appreciate why I cannot comment in any detail on specific planning applications at the dispatch box. That said, Mr. Speaker, it may be helpful to members if I set out the process which these cases follow. The application referred to by the Right Honourable Member was considered to meet the published call-in policy set out in the October 2012 written ministerial statement, and so will be determined by ministers. The application is not yet with the Department. All decisions that come before ministers are subject to examination by an independent planning inspector, usually through a public inquiry. The planning inspector...
He's just answering the member behind you. I was trying to stop you. Carry on, Minister.
All decisions, as I was saying, Mr. Speaker, that come before ministers are subject to examination by an independent planning inspector, usually through a public inquiry. The planning inspector then provides an evidence-based recommendation, setting out full reasons for their recommendation. The inspector's report considers the application against published local, regional and national planning policy. That is likely to include a wide variety of material planning matters, which in this case are likely to include safety and national security. A public inquiry was held earlier this year in respect of this case, Mr. Speaker, between 11th and 28th of February, at which interested parties were able to put forward evidence and representations. Should any further representations be made which raise material planning considerations before the decision is made, these will also be taken into account. At all times, the decision will be dealt with in line with the published propriety guidance on planning casework decisions. The Right Honourable Member will be aware that the Home and Foreign Secretaries made a joint representation to the Planning Inspectorate ahead of the start of the inquiry. This will be taken into account alongside all other relevant matters. Once the Planning Inspector's report and recommendation is received, it will be determined by a planning minister who will come to a decision based on material planning considerations.
Ian Duncan-Smith.
Mr. Speaker, the US government and now today the Dutch Parliament have expressed concerns about sensitive cables under the Royal Mint Court. Beijing has a recent history of cutting cables and confirmed infrastructure hacks, including embedding malware capable of disabling all that infrastructure. Minister Peter Carl yesterday on television said surprisingly that this was in the planning process and could be managed. So will the Minister correct this record? The planning inquiry has concluded no changes can be made to the Chinese planning application at all. And I remind him the application contains nothing about cabling. Indeed, to the inquiry, the Chinese have rejected only 2 requests, which he referred to actually, made by the government in the letter from the Foreign and Home Secretaries, despite ministers regularly saying that this letter, and I quote, should give those concerned comfort. Rerouting the cables, of course, we know would cost millions, if that's what the government may even be thinking about. But I asked the question to the government, why did the government strongly deny the presence of the cables until the White House actually confirmed it, rather than to this House? And Chinese state media has also reported that the UK has given assurances to the Chinese that the UK would allow development no matter what. Indeed, The Guardian reported as much in 2023 that China would not apply again unless they were given governmental assurances. So can the Minister confirm or even deny any of this? As one of those sanctioned by China, as others in the Chamber, I see this as Project Kowtow, one denial after another, one betrayal after another. No wonder our allies believe that this Chinese mega-embassy is now becoming a walk of shame for the government.
Well, I thank the Right Honourable Member for those questions, and I hope he will appreciate why, not least because of the quasi-judicial nature of planning ministers in the planning process, that I can't comment on the details of the application. As I said, Mr. Speaker, no decision on the case has been made. The case is not yet before the Department. In terms of the issue of cables, which he mentioned, it would not be appropriate to comment on any specific national security issue. In terms of whether the Chinese embassy was raised during UK-US trade talks, again, it would not be appropriate to comment on the details of those talks, but suffice to say we do not recognise the characterisation set out in the Sunday Times article where this was referenced. And it is important to also emphasise, Mr. Speaker, that only material planning considerations can be taken into account in determining this case. But as I say, I cannot comment in any detail on a case, and it is not yet before the Department.